y bienvenidas a Sex and Spanglish, where we empower mujeres to get in touch with their bodies, own their pleasure, and where we discuss all the cochinadas our abuelas didn't tell us about. Hi y'all, my name is Ana, sexpert, certified sex and life coach, proud Latina, and your go-to guide for all things sex. I'm here to help you get out of your head and into your body to have mind-blowing sex. Let's be real. La comunidad latina doesn't talk about sex. Pero qué suerte tienen because this Latina does. My vision is to have Latinas worldwide talking about sex just like we do with chisme. Join me every week to hear me discuss todas las cochinadas sin vergüenza. Bienvenida mi gente. Today I'm going to be soltando toda la sopa on the dieta del sexo. So, for those of you that don't speak Spanish, that was the sex diet. I'm sure you figured that out. But anyways, if you didn't see last week's episode on movement, you're going to want to go back after this episode and check that out. If you haven't watched the video on hydration and also on meditation, you're going to want to go back and check those out as well. These are all super important to hear about, to enhance your sex life. So, that being said, today we're talking about la dieta del sexo. So, you've heard of keto, paleo, low carb, low fat, intermittent fasting. But have you heard of la dieta del sexo? Probably not, because I literally just took all the info that I shared that I wanted to share in this podcast and in this video, and I give it a label just to have it, just to have the label to sum it all up. So today I'm going to tell you all about why this is the most important diet that you'll ever eat, and it's super simple to follow, and you might even lose a few pounds. So first, I want to define diet. The word diet has a lot of, I would say, like emotional charge for people. People are like, oh, I need to go on a diet, or I want to be on a diet, or I hate dieting, like all these things, right? And then there's all this, like, there's diet culture and like all the things, right? There's a lot of negative connotations with that word. But the word diet is literally like the exact definition, like dictionary definition. It's what we eat. That is what a diet is. That is what the word means. So that is how I'm using this word. So everyone is on a diet, even if you're not trying to lose weight or gain weight or, you know, have a special kind of eating thing, right? Everyone is on a diet because we all eat. So if you don't follow anything in particular, so if you're not following like a doctor's recommended diet because you have some, you know, health issues, if you're not following like keto or paleo, intermittent fasting, or any of those kind of like fad diets, either way, you're on a diet. Your diet is just what you eat. So my diet, you know, I'm not really going to go into that because then I don't want y'all like following what I eat just because, you know, technically I eat just whatever the hell I want, basically, right? So I eat what I want. I don't eat what doesn't feel good for me. Some things make me feel kind of sick, so I don't eat them. And that's my diet. And it doesn't have a name. I just whatever the hell I eat. So what is this particular diet? La dieta del sexo. What is that all about? It's about improving digestion. It's about soothing the body so that you can give your body more space for pleasure. And this is inside and outside of sexual intercourse. So you're probably thinking like, what the fuck do I eat on this diet? Like you're telling me it's just what you eat. You're saying that you eat, you know, whatever the hell you want. And I'm going to get into that. But first I want to say to be sure to check with a medical professional before you make any dietary changes, especially if you are already having issues in this area, whether it be like medical issues that are related to food or foods that impact a medical illness that you have, you know, allergies, all the things. You always want to be sure to check with a medical professional. So with your primary care physician, or even a registered dietitian, preferably. But yeah, check with a medical professional. before you make any dietary changes. But what I do want to say is that apart from the diet that you're already eating, with this specific diet, la dieta del sexo, you're going to add an extra serving of fruits and veggies a day. Just one. You can add more, that's totally fine. But remember, my tips are and suggestions are always going to be one less thing you have to do on the to-do list, right? Like, I just want it to make it as easy and as simple as possible for you to take these steps, because we already have a lot on our plates. So literally all you have to do is add one extra serving of fruits and veggies a day. I would do probably one of both. But if you're going to choose one, I would say to go with the veggies. That's just my personal opinion. But anyways, what is a serving? Because a lot of us, I feel like, don't know what that is. So a serving of fruit, according to the FDA, a serving of fruit is considered a cup. So like a measuring cup, right? And if you're Latina, you probably don't use measuring cups. Totally understand. But the great news is that you don't have to use a measuring cup. You can just compare it to the size of your fist. So the size of your fist is about a small apple or a small orange, or it's like if you're eating something like berries or something, right? The amount that would cover your fist. So if you're looking at your fist, I don't know, like 10 blueberries. I don't know. I don't really eat fruit like that. So anyway, it's a cup, about a cup. If you're eating a serving of veggies, it's 2 cups. So 2 fists if you're measuring with your hands, and if you're measuring with a measuring cup, 2 measuring cups. So that should be 16 ounces. If you're eating it on a plate, which you probably are, half of a plate is a great way to tell. So an easy way to incorporate another serving of fruits and veggies, I have a smoothie every morning with my breakfast, or that is my breakfast actually. So that's a great way for me to add a ton of greens in. If you want the recipe, don't hesitate to reach out to me and I will send it to you. It's a green smoothie, just so y'all know. I'm not really a fruit fan, so it's not sweet by any means. But that's an easy way to add that extra serving of fruits and veggies a day. Another easy way to do this is by adding a salad to your meals throughout the day. You can have it at, I love having salad with lunch and dinner. It's like my side, dish or whatever. You can also eat it with breakfast. Who the hell said you can't have salad with breakfast? So, step 1, serving of fruits and veggies extra a day. So, aparte of what you're already eating, in addition to what you are already consuming, okay? You also want to limit your caffeine, I know, to 1 cup per day. 1 cup per day. So, and that's an 8-ounce cup. That's not like, oh, this is a water bottle, but the Starbucks cups that are like this size. No, 1 cup of coffee per day. You also want to ensure that you're hydrated. So speaking of water, you want to ensure that you are hydrated. And if you haven't listened to it yet, I highly encourage you to go back and listen to how dehydration is killing your sex life. It's both on YouTube and on my podcast, so you'll want to hear that. The next thing, you want to limit processed foods. So these are like boxed foods, and actually a lot of boxed foods now, you can find, the other day I brought home some frozen cauliflower, and it was just cauliflower. That was it. It wasn't like no sauces added. It was just cauliflower that was frozen. So not to say that you can't buy boxed or frozen foods or even canned foods, but you want to make sure that you're checking the label. If you're buying things like frozen pizzas and, like chicken nuggets and things like that, typically they'll have things like added to it. So you just want to be careful with what you're buying. I am a huge fan of getting frozen vegetables just because I got shit to do and I don't always have time to be going to the store to buy fresh fruits and vegetables like all the time. I just don't. And I have to spend $35 in order to get my groceries delivered. So yeah, I'm not doing that. Anyways, I make sure that all my frozen veggies, which is something that I'm a fan of, They just have veggies. There's nothing else in it. I can season it as I want, and there's no added like preservatives or anything like that. So limiting processed foods. Also, if you notice that you are feeling gassy or bloated, and this is like, consistently, then you're going to want to try the following. You're going to want to try to limit cruciferous veggies to 1 per meal and none at dinner time. So what are cruciferous veggies? Cruciferous veggies, and you can actually Google this because there's a shit ton on the list, but essentially like broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, Brussels sprouts, a lot of them are green. Arugula, I think, is one as well. And these are great for you. They're super healthy, but some people have a really hard time digesting these. So I'm not saying don't eat them. In fact, I think you should eat them, but maybe alter the way that you cook them. Maybe you cook them instead of like you roast them, or you steam them, whatever it is, however you want to cook them, instead of eating them raw. I know a lot of people eat them raw, and so you just kind of want to pay attention to how you're feeling when you eat these certain foods, especially if you're consistently waking up every day and feeling bloated and feeling gassy. That's not sexy. So make sure it's just 1 per meal, so 1 at lunch, 1 at breakfast, and then none at dinner, just to give yourself time. And this is just a suggestion. You can always try it out and see what works for you. My next suggestion is to stop eating at the same time each day. So for me, I get up at 5 in the morning, so I stop eating at 7 o'clock. I have dinner at 6:30 every evening, so I'm done by 7. I wake up at 5 and I eat breakfast about 5:30, which is the next one, is to eat breakfast at the same time every day. So it's kind of like fasting, right? Like everybody fasts. That's another thing. Everybody fasts. But you're going to want to stop eating at the same time each day, and you want to end that fast, right, at the beginning of the day, or at the same time, not the beginning of the day, at the same time every day. So pick a time that works for you to eat dinner, and the same time for breakfast, right? And it can be, close. I'm like, you don't have to be super stickler about this, especially if your schedule doesn't allow, but try to plan for that. Because going to bed right after you eat dinner, I know that a lot of people think this makes you gain weight, but it actually just makes you feel like shit because your body doesn't have time to digest the food. So it's a lot less about the weight that you gain, which that's a whole other topic, but it's about how it makes you feel, right? Like your body doesn't have time to digest, and then you wake up and you feel bloated and you feel gassy and you feel still like really full, and it's because you're not giving your body the opportunity to digest completely. So pick a time that works for you. Look at your calendar and see like, hey, maybe we can start eating at this time, and really stick to that time. Another suggestion, if you're gassy or bloated, is having a warm glass of water with lemon after each meal and in the morning. So the very first thing you drink in the morning, warm glass of water with lemon, and then also having that after each meal, it really helps your body to kind of start the digestion process. And another thing that you can do if you're feeling gassy and bloated is you're going to want to limit processed foods. And I know I said that before that you want to do that anyway, but you particularly or especially want to do this if you are feeling gassy and bloated. So I'm going to sum those up really quickly because I know that I explained each one of them kind of in detail, but an extra serving of fruit and veggies per day. You want to limit caffeine to 1 cup per day. That's 8 ounces. You want to ensure that you're hydrated, and you want to limit processed foods. And if you're gassy and bloated, you're going to want to limit cruciferous veggies to 1 meal per day and none at dinner. Stop eating at the same time each day and eat breakfast at the same time each day. You want to have a warm glass of water with lemon after each meal and first thing in the morning, and you want to limit processed foods. So in addition to the food that you'll be doing, that you'll be eating and the liquids you'll be consuming, you're going to do the following two things. You're going to mindfully eat. What do I mean by that? You're going to eat slower than slow, and then you're going to eat slower than that. We all eat way too fast, which fucks up our digestion, and then we wonder why we're bloated. We don't absorb the nutrients when we do that as well as we could. It can cause constipation, all the things. And so you really want to start eating your food slower and making sure that each bite has saliva in it, because saliva is actually what helps you digest your food. The second thing that you're going to do is keep a food journal. So you can do this on your own, but you can actually, I've created one for you that you can print out and have on your own, or you can just do it on your computer. It's up to you, but you can get that in the show notes. And basically what you're going to be doing is you're going to fill it out every day, literally every day, what you eat every single day, every single thing that you put in your mouth, drink and food. How do you feel within the 30 minutes after eating? So sometimes you'll notice right after you eat, you're like, I feel like shit. Sometimes you'll notice like 10, 15, 20, 30 minutes later. And so you're going to take about 30 minutes to see how you're feeling, and you're going to write that in. And then you're going to write if you had a bowel movement that day. So like at the end of the day, you're going to write that in. And it's super important, but I'll get into why in just a minute. So why is this diet so important, and how is it going to change your sex life? So the fruits and veggies, which is the very first thing that I mentioned, those provide essential vitamins and nutrients to the body. These various fruits and vegetables, the vitamins and nutrients that are in these things, they aid in blood flow, which is super important for arousal. So not only, when a lot of times I think when we think, blood flow, we think of like erectile dysfunction, but when a woman is aroused, blood flow goes to the vulva and vagina as well. So it's super important. These vitamins and nutrients also reduce stress and brain fog. Caffeine dehydrates you, and you're probably not drinking enough water as it is. So then you're further dehydrating yourself. And it also causes anxiety, right? Because it's a stimulant. But especially in those who are already experiencing chronic anxiety. Right? I'm sure if you're on an anti-anxiety medication, you've probably been told to avoid caffeine. This includes chocolate. But it's super important to notice, like, if you're constantly anxious and worried, drinking coffee isn't going to help you. And I know I love coffee. I drink it every morning, and I totally understand the effects of it, and yet I still drink it. But it's just something to think about, particularly if you're really struggling with anxiety. If you're gassy and bloated, you're not going to want to have sex. If you're constipated, you're not going to want to have sex. You're not going to be able to fully relax. And studies have actually shown that you're in a worse mood when you're constipated. So even if you don't feel constipated necessarily, it changes your mood when you're constipated versus when you're not. Think about a baby when they're constipated and then finally they have a bowel movement, how much happier they are. It's the same thing with adults. We just assume that it's not just because we're adults. So mindful eating is going to help your body absorb the nutrients and to help prevent digestive issues such as acid reflux, being gassy and bloated, constipation, all things which impact your sex life and your mood to actually want to go and have sex, right? Not even just like the act of sex itself, but like you're not going to want to go have sex if you're constipated. And logging or writing everything down allows you to see the big picture and find out what foods are bothering you. So after you've watched this episode, if you haven't yet, go back and watch the episodes on movement, on dehydration, and on meditation. And you'll also want to head to the show notes and download the food journal that I've created for y'all. Let me know how you like it, and I'll see you next week.
If you'd like a question answered on the podcast, send me an email at sexinspanglish@gmail.com. That's sexinspanglish@gmail.com. If you like what you heard today and are interested in getting a personalized pleasure plan, head to the show notes and to get access to my calendar. You'll pay $69 for 69 minutes of life-changing information. Ya tú sabes, the shit that will make your abuela say, "Ay, hija, de eso no se habla." As a Latina sexpert and certified sex and life coach, I help you navigate your culture and your sexuality sin vergüenza. You won't find this anywhere else. Join me every week to hear me talk about orgasms, STIs, birth control, and all the other cochinadas your abuelas didn't tell you about. But that's not all. We'll also discuss machismo, la tía metiche, and sexual stories from other Latinas just like you. Be sure to follow me on Instagram and Facebook at Sex in Spanglish, and send me a DM or leave me a comment letting me know you heard this. And be sure to join my Facebook community, Latinas Cochinas. Espero verte pronto.